We are out in Portland, Oregon, about to drive the refreshed 2025 Buick Enclave, and we're starting with the top-tier Avenir trim, and I am interested to see if it is worth the approximate $60,000 price tag. We've got the lineup of Enclaves here. We'll be driving the Avenir and the Sport Touring, but starting with the Avenir trim, the highest tier one, so to have the most amount of luxury, technology. Quick glimpse at the interior, but we're gonna go ahead, get ourselves set up and ready to hit our drive route. So that big 30-inch infotainment screen, and it's got Super Cruise. For the first time ever on a Buick, we have Super Cruise, and it's available as an option on all three trims. Some nice materials. I'll make sure we do a full interior tour. So the new vehicles on this platform include the GMC Acadia, the Chevy Traverse, and now the Buick Enclave. So they are platform mates. They share the same powertrain combination, but they have their own distinct personalities. And I've gotten to drive the new Traverse, the new Acadia, a bunch of different trims. So it'll be interesting also to compare the Enclave with its siblings in the GM family. We've got the built-in Google Maps navigation loaded up with the drive route. Water bottles ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some stuff into the center console. We've got the GoPro, which we'll use later on with a new quad lock mount. And oh, I forgot to put this little tray back in. Standard wireless phone charger, so that's nice. Everything is set up. We got the column mounted shifter. Let's go. Also, my drive partner, Jeff.
Hey, everybody.
General Motors Jeff. He has no other legal name. His legal name is GM Jeff. So we have another Enclave Avenir in front of us, and check out that sequential turn signal. We have the full width LED tail light now, and when the brake lights turn off, you can see it's got the clear lenses. That's only on the Avenir trim. The other ones have the tinted red tail lights. Go ahead and go into Sport, and let's floor it. Right into Portland traffic. Hello. So like the rest of the family, we have a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that makes 328 horsepower and 326 pound-feet of torque, 8-speed automatic transmission, front-wheel drive as standard, but you can option up to all-wheel drive on all the different trims. With the trailing package, it can tow 5,000 pounds when properly equipped. I have thoughts on this 2.5 Turbo 4 that I will share more of as we got up into the mountains and start hitting some curvy roads. While there may be traffic, we're not worried because we can use Super Cruise. There we go. We'll set the speed. They're targeting 750,000 miles of mapped roads by the end of 2025 with Super Cruise, and it is one of my favorite hands-free driver assistance systems. It'll do lane changes. It handles the lanes so well, the curves, traffic, and so forth. Definitely one of my favorite systems, and it's the first time ever it's been offered on a Buick vehicle. Off the freeway now, on some back roads heading up into the mountains. Take a look at the center cluster here. We can change that display. So this is kind of the default one with your speedometer in the middle, and we have the Google Maps pulled up there. But if you want to change it, you can go full screen navigation here in the driver cluster. It will still show your speed in the corner and so forth there, but you can have Google Maps on both screens if you want. Obviously, you could change the center one now and just have it here. And then the other screen here is more the driver assistance stuff, the lane keeping, your distance in front. Oh, this road is Super Cruise enabled. Oh, wow. All right, we can Super Cruise on these kind of smaller roads too. I don't need to be doing 70 miles an hour though, so we'll drop that down to 55. So the top tier Avenir has CDC, continuous damping control for the suspension, unique to this trim here. The other ones have regular dampers, but all of the Buicks are supposed to be tuned more towards that kind of quiet comfort. They're not trying to be sporty. It is not full out luxury like you would get in a Cadillac model. It's that premium experience, but still needs to be somewhat luxurious, and something that indicates that is this has like acoustic laminated glass. If you roll the window down, you can feel the double panes of glass. Same thing with the windshield to try to make it as quiet as possible. So we have the 360 overhead view. I parked kind of okay. So that is standard, but there's additional extra cameras if you get the trailering package. And on the Avenir trim, if you option with Super Cruise, you do get the digital rear view mirror, which I love. Flick it that way and you have the digital rear view, because during the day it's great, especially in an SUV. If you have people or cargo back there and it's blocking your visibility, that solves that problem. And at night, it really helps reduce glare of the headlights behind you. So digital rear view mirrors are one of my favorite things. The weird thing is, at launch right now, you can only get it on the Avenir trim with Super Cruise. So even if you get Super Cruise on the ST or the base trim, you can't get the digital rear view mirror. Sean, I have a request for the next media drive. Can we have Tim Tams?
Oh, just for you, Eddie?
We need
Absolutely.
Tim Tams. We need
Absolutely.
Tim Tams
We can do
on the
that.
next media
We can do
drive.
that. Absolutely.
We have a great opportunity to take a look at the differences and similarities between the Avenir trim and the Sport Touring, with the two of them lined up right here. Avenir obviously is going to lean much more towards the luxury side, whereas Sport Touring has sport in the name, so sportiness means blacked out elements from the front trim here to the grille. The actual shape and design, the pattern inside the grille is different. You get this kind of X cross shaped in the Sport Touring, whereas on the Avenir you have this little like silver checkmark shape. It's chrome. It matches the design of the DRLs up here too, kind of this little like swoopy checkmark, boomerang type of shape, whatever you want to call it, with the split LED headlights below. But you see the chrome trim on the Avenir, and they both have the new Buick logo, which has been fully updated across the lineup. I actually think it looks really cool where they split out the individual little kind of shield bullet shaped things. That is the updated logo. Coming around to the side, the Avenir has the 22-inch wheels in the satin nickel finish, whereas the Sport Touring has 20-inch wheels with the black and silver contrast. Obviously, the ST badge there on the side, black mirror housing, the Avenir badge in this like fancy cursive script, and then the body colored here, the chrome surround versus the blacked out trim on the Sport Touring. And around back, you see the Sport Touring has the red taillight lenses, the Enclave all-wheel drive badge here. And on the Avenir, we have the clear taillight lenses, and a really cool little Easter egg here is you have the Buick logo etched in there, but it's not just etched. When the taillights turn on, it actually lights up. It's a really, really cool touch. I'm a fan of that. The full width taillights here, all LED. We have the sequential welcome sequence on the Avenir trim. Let me actually grab the key and show you that. So there we go. We have the lock, and then when you unlock, you get this little welcome sequence, which would be easier to see at night, but that's pretty cool. Only on the Avenir trim. See what the front looks like. Oh yeah, you have a little bit of a sweep there with the DRLs, and then the headlights turn on. So that's the welcome sequence. Only available on the top tier trim. We have made our way out to the coast on a nice scenic drive, but we found a quiet little corner here to take a tour of the Buick Enclave Avenir. So the styling here mirrors the rest of the family and draws inspiration from the Wildcat EV concept that Buick had, which looks so cool, but it's interesting to me that they made this two-door EV coupe and then applied all of that styling to their SUV and crossover lineup, right? Regardless, it looks much more aggressive, premium, sporty, and all different trim levels, especially compared to the outgoing generation, way more modern. You have this thin DRL up top that has kind of like swoopy shape to it, and then the split LED headlights below, and definitely looks nice in all different trims. And I am a big fan of the updated Buick logo. Looks much more modern and premium. We have the 22-inch wheels on this Avenir, and then this is the largest SUV in the Buick lineup, the flagship. The interior here, we have the full black with the white accenting, so you have white piping on the seats, there's white stitching, the Avenir logo on the headrest. There is another color combination available, which is really cool. It's like this light, creamy white with the dark blue contrast. I'll see if I can get up close with that one. We have the floating center console, which is a really, really cool touch, and allows for this giant center storage area, so you can put your bag there, your purse, whatever. That is a lot of practicality. We have the wireless phone charger there. I've got my phone. This is your actual physical volume dial, and then a little slot here for the key. The key also has the updated logo too. Cup holders, pretty standard. Center console here, more cup holders back there. And then that 30-inch infotainment screen is very, very nice. It's actually like fairly seamless, where it just continues all the way across. Now you do have a divider between where the center cluster screen and the infotainment screen is, right? We're on navigation on both views. But if I go ahead and change this again, I showed you when we were driving, you see how it like does a pretty good job of flowing through, including the background. It always continues back over, so that's a pretty cool touch. The graphics are definitely nice and very different personality from the vertically oriented screen in the GMC Acadia. Personally, I think this looks nicer, like aesthetically. This like big floating kind of like Zeppelin shaped thing is really, really cool. But functionally, the Acadia screen being vertically oriented may be a little more practical in use case, but you have plenty of screen real estate here. We have all these different functions and apps and so forth. We still have wireless CarPlay, Android Auto. You have some physical controls for your climate settings, these toggles right here to change it, along with controls on the actual screen. We've got heated and cooled seats up front because this is the Avenir trim. And then your shortcuts for things like your headlights, the controls here for traction control and so forth. Lane keep assist, you can turn it on and off right here. And then, yeah, that floating center console. So there's opening here, air vents with USB-C port, a regular USB port. Your engine start-stop button hides right here. I'm showing you that center console area. Let's hop out again. The steering wheel has all the buttons because this is a fully option model. So we have Super Cruise right there. Super Cruise is an option. You get 3 years of an included subscription usage when you order this option, and then after that you have to subscribe to it essentially. But you get 3 years included of the hands-free everything. It's so nice. And then on this side we have the heated steering wheel. We've got some of your controls for interfacing with your phone controls and changing the display on a center console and so forth right there. The center display screen here, a little sensor that shows you Super Cruise. Drive modes are here, auto hold, so forth. We have Avenir on the door sill plate. And then the doors themselves are pretty nice too. You've got the Bose speaker system with the metal grills. And this is like a wood trim with an interesting texture. This is metal contrast, and then like a rose gold kind of accent here, so different metal accents. And then the soft touch leather here with a bunch of like little holes scattered on there. That pattern is repeated on the passenger side of the dashboard too. You see right there with another kind of textured metal look trim there. We have the panoramic roof up top, which is definitely nice. Digital rear view mirror, I showed you guys that. Let's see what second row leg room is like. I'm gonna go ahead and hop in the second row captain's chairs on the other side. I'm like 6'2", 6'3", depending on the day. I was sitting in the passenger seat, so I have it set to where I was comfortable. And into the second row we go. Not bad. Plenty of headroom up top, like there. Go ahead and close the door. And plenty of legroom here too. So as an adult, you are fine here in the second row. And then we have a third row back there. I think I could crawl back there. Let's try it. The biggest challenge is always trying to look dignified when you're trying to crawl into the third row to test it out, right? That's not gonna work for me. Okay, you know that? No go. But we can press the button and it folds forward to make it easier to get out when you do have smaller adults or children in the third row. And then if you fold everything down, I believe max cargo capacity is 97.5 cubic feet in the Buick Enclave. These drive programs are always really cool because we get to go to some pretty interesting places to experience the new vehicles. We're out in Portland here by the coast. Actually, we've driven probably almost 2 hours away from Portland to the ocean. And I finished filming my clips of the Avenir. Jeff is doing his content now, so I figured let me walk over and take a look at the ocean. Yeah, there's a beach right there. This is nice. Wow, the fog coming off the ocean is pretty cool. You got the mountains, you got the water, you got sand, got the trees. It's very calming out here. Get ready for a fantastic analogy. It is calming like driving the Buick Enclave. In all seriousness, the Enclave is pretty well isolated. It's calming and comfortable when you're driving around. That's really the goal of Buick. It's not meant to be the all-out luxury like you would have in a Cadillac or one of the German luxury brands. It has to be more premium than the Chevy. And they were talking about the branding and the brand positioning. They want buyers who don't need the outward show of luxury, right? Some luxury brands is a status thing, whether it's automotive, whether it's watches, fashion. It is very much a status symbol. And Buick does have a little bit of a branding positioning thing they're going through right now. And with the wholly refreshed portfolio, it should help them. But it's definitely, to me, one of those mid-tier premium brands that brings some luxury, but not quite maxed out. So this Avenir that we're driving is pretty much the top of the line, and I optioned it up to just over like $60,000 by checking pretty much every box. And again, there aren't that many to check. It's really just Super Cruise, you pick your color, trailing package, and that's pretty much it. So some other thoughts on the Avenir, and is it worth $60,000? In today's day and age, when everything costs so much now, right? Minivans are $60,000, luxury cars are $80 to $100, like $100,000 is a normal thing now. I was just driving a BMW i5 M60 xDrive, that was $93,000. So at 60 grand, the Buick Enclave, if you need a full-size family SUV that has plenty of tech, safety, nice features, nice design, it actually is pretty good. I'm impressed. A couple of complaints, I still don't love the powertrain. There's no option for a hybridized plug-in hybrid. There's no full EV in this segment for Buick right now, or actually GM doesn't really have much in this segment in that way. So the fuel economy is all right for something that size with a turbocharged 4-cylinder. It's, I think, rated at 2127 front-wheel drive, so 23 combined, 21 combined for all-wheel drive, I believe. I gotta look those numbers up. Actually, I'm gonna pull up my notes. It's 20 mpg, 27 for the front-wheel drive, 23 combined, 21 combined for the all-wheel drive. And pricing, since I have my notes pulled up right now, the Preferred, that's the entry-level trim, front-wheel drive starts at $46,395. The ST, the Sport Touring front-wheel drive, starts at $48,795, and the Avenir is a pretty big jump up to $59,395. And to get all-wheel drive, it's $2,000 on all the different trim. Now, I'm interested to see what the ST is going to be like, but is it worth 60 grand? I actually think it is. It's nice. It definitely feels more plush and premium than a Chevy Traverse, obviously. There's some nice tech features. The interior is definitely nice, thought out, practical, and compared to some of the other vehicles in this segment, I think that Buick has properly brought a competitive set at this price point. I do remember one little complaint I have, the fact that this only has auto up and down windows for the driver's windows, not the passenger, not the second row. This is an Avenir trim, come on, like it should have that. I think that might be like a leftover thing from chip shortage times when they started deleting some of these functions and they just never brought it back. So you only have auto up and down for the driver's window. Might seem like a petty little complaint, but it's something you interact with pretty often actually. All right, lunch break is done. We are now hopping into the Sport Touring, the ST, and driving our way back to Portland to see how it compares with the Avenir. So the new Enclave has the AutoSense tailgate function where you just stand behind the car, you don't need to press any buttons, you don't need to kick your foot, and it just opens up. You have the key fob in your pocket or in your hand, and it works. Thank you, Stephanie. We have a couple different color options to pick between. There's a black one here, a white one, but we went with the metallic red. And this paint looks quite nice here in the sun along the coast. You got the mountains out there, the fog, and into the Buick Enclave ST we go.
Well, at least when you're playing with the tailgate, you didn't lock me in the vehicle with no air conditioning on. Oh, wait.
And the windows were down. You're okay. The windows were down. This man, full of complaints. Sorry, you okay?
You're apologizing to me now. That's my word. Sorry is my word.
Sorry about that, mate.
Sorry.
You see a little bit of everything out here. The cyber fridge.
Boo.
There's also a bit of a welcome sequence when you approach the Enclave. Take a look at that across the screens. It's kind of very ethereal looking and it fades in with the logos. Pretty cool. All right, we are back up in the mountains, and this time, or in the ST, and I'm going hands-free right now with Super Cruise. It's a little bit disconcerting when you're on just a 2-lane road, and it's a fairly curvy mountain road, but it's handling it fine, and it's definitely quite impressive on this mapped road. They've added so many more miles. It's going to be almost 750,000 miles, as I mentioned, and it's been cool seeing Super Cruise expand since I first drove it many years ago. I think I was back with the GMC Hummer EV, and now it's hit the first Buick vehicle in the lineup on the Enclave. It is included as a subscription for the first 3 years when you order the vehicle, but after that you have to pay for the subscription, which I believe is a very common model with these more advanced driver assistance systems that are hands-free. Pay attention, and it's handling these turns, and we're going at a decent rate of speed too, so I can just sit back, enjoy the scenery, the mountains, the trees, and so forth. So the ST, how different is it from the Avenir? I mean, you have the same powertrain. They're all the same power output, 328 horsepower, 326 pound-feet of torque, same transmission, all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive. You can order that same thing across it. Now, the wheel and tire combo is different. We're on a 20-inch wheel, a little more sidewall, but this doesn't have the CDC damping, right? So it's kind of this weird trade-off where, like, yeah, the Avenir has the fancier damping system and tuning, but you're on less sidewall with the bigger wheel, whereas this has more sidewall with the tire and a smaller wheel, so it still rides pretty comfortably. They will tune this to be a little more sporty leaning. We've got the various drive modes and so forth, but remember, this is a Buick, right? They want the quiet, calm, the nice premium experience. Actually, let me check. Does this have, yep, this also has the double laminated glass, and it helps. Noise cancellation and so forth. It just very, very calm in this cabin. Now, we don't have quite as much content as the Avenir, so we don't have the fancy Bose sound system. We have a lesser 12-speaker one, so there's no speaker grills here on the door, but you still have a lot of stuff as standard. ST gets a flat-bottom steering wheel. I already mentioned the big screens with the panoramic sunroof up there. We have heated seats, no cooled seats, no massage seats, even though the massage seats aren't like true massage seats. So it's really just like inflating and deflating the lumbar support on the Avenir. And we have more blacked out sporty trim, right? Gloss black accents on the outside. We got unique trim to the ST on the inside here too. I think it's executed quite well, and it gives a couple distinct personalities. You have the base preferred, and then you go to either the ST or the Avenir. And Buick has streamlined their trim strategy across the lineup with the various vehicles. And while driving it, I would just say, definitely this feels the most Buick of the three, right? I've driven the Traverse now, the Acadia, and this. The slots in between the Traverse and the GMC. The GMC is usually priced a little bit higher. The Denali definitely felt a little more luxurious, but they also have very distinct personalities. Favorite parts? If I had to pick, let's see. I really like the floating center console, and the storage below it is very, very nice. I do like the big screen in terms of design. In terms of functionality, like I mentioned, I like the GMC Acadia's vertically oriented one, but the whole styling on the inside makes it feel very open, airy, very like smooth and curvy on the inside. And I like that Super Cruise is available. Once you start using Super Cruise, you really enjoy having Super Cruise. We got stuck in some traffic yesterday heading back into Portland. I was just like, not a big deal. Turn on Super Cruise, sit back, right? You still need to pay attention if you want to. Sometimes if you want a lane change, you have to indicate it. It does have auto lane change ability, or sometimes if a situation changes, you still need to be paying attention and take control. But Super Cruise is pretty fantastic. So I think those would be my three favorite aspects of the Buick Enclave. Plenty of space, practicality, comfort, styling. Styling is also one of my favorite parts of this thing. It looks quite nice. But there we go. To answer the question, is the Buick Enclave worth $60,000? An Avenir trim? I would say so. It checks a lot of the boxes. Nice premium interior, and it's kind of that nice price point there where you're above like the $40-ish, $50,000 price point of like the top of the Chevy, the more mainstream stuff, and then not quite to the full-out luxury pricing where those things are like 70, 80 grand these days now. So there is my first drive impressions of the Buick Enclave 2025. We've tried out the Avenir trim and the ST. The base will be the preferred. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.